Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having a fantastic week so far, or weekend so far. We are doing an IELTS speaking part 2 class, cue card that focuses on the topic of an interesting animal. Hi Thuy. Babrus, Fuang, Anna, Dimitri, nice to see all of you. Romelia, welcome our chat moderator. Good to have you. Ugulhan, hello. Let's get going, everybody. So again, today's cue card topic is about an interesting animal that you have seen. By the way, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Let's take a quick look at this cue card to get you thinking about your ideas and your answers for these questions. So here's the cue card for today. Again, it's part 2. The IELTS speaking has 3 parts. It takes about 15 minutes for the speaking interview. Part 1 will be the introduction. You get to introduce yourself, and say a few words about your hobbies, whether you're a student or your job. In most cases, just to get you feeling comfortable and fluent. You will speak about a general topic. Could be music, could be dancing. And then the examiner will shift to the cue card, the long response it's called, where you basically get 1 minute to read some questions on a specific topic and then talk for 2 minutes. So here are the cue card questions for today. So it says, talk about an interesting animal that you have seen. It's not just an interesting animal that you learned about in school, but that you have actually seen, ideally in real life. So not just in a movie, but if you saw it in a nature documentary and you know lots about it, I suppose that could work. And then you should say what it is and what it looks like. Interesting animal. We want to picture it. When did you see it? Where was it? The habitat. What surrounded this animal? And what made this animal so interesting? All right, so these are the questions. Think about your response. Although, again, many of you hear that these questions are simply there to guide you, it is important to answer these questions. So Anna's already thinking ahead. Anna says, I've seen an ostrich. That's great, Anna. I have also seen an ostrich. They are pretty interesting animals, for sure. So think about the questions. We'll circle back to these questions. The goal of the class is for you to understand the strategies for how to think and plan your answer in the 1 minute, and then how to give a good high band 9 response in the 1 to 2 minute talking time. I will give you a sample answer, and you will also have the chance to talk to me through Zoom. So we'll make a Zoom connection and you'll be able to practice your part 2 cue card response with me, and I will give you feedback, band score estimates, and I will tell you what I think you should do to improve your response and get a higher score. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that power these live classes. They contain all of our materials, videos, and much, much more. All you have to do, this is aehelp.com, is to click on this big red button to join our premium IELTS package that has all of the structured content. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. For the general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. And again, just click this big red button. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, and an IELTS test registration center. We help thousands of students every month improve their English and score better on the IELTS exam. Premium students on the website, I sent you your Zoom links. So every week we have 2 exclusive Zoom classes for our premium students. If we have more and more students in those classes, we'll establish more and more Zoom classes so everybody gets attention. And again, if you want to check out those Zoom classes, you can do so with this link. This will take you to a playlist of previous premium student Zoom classes. Hi Deborah, hi Ushir, King Ragnar, Spidey, Abraham Williams. Nice to see so many of you in the class now. That is fantastic. Students on the website, you can use the code effective9 for a 10% discount. When you're in the checkout, simply enter that discount code, apply it, and you will save an extra 10%. The cost of the website and the premium package and the apps, it's different in different countries depending on the economy, to try to help as many students as possible. Academic IELTS help, general IELTS help in your app stores. You can download those apps, link them to the websites. IELTS_AE help and GIELTS help for Instagram. We've got vocabulary and interesting videos. And if you have questions for me about the IELTS exam, about English, let me know. Adrian at aehelp.com and admin@aehelp.com. All right, everyone. So the schedule, after this class, we'll have a short 30-minute break, and then we will do a speaking part 3 class for everybody. The reason for that is speaking part 3 is connected to speaking part 2. So the topic of speaking part 3, if some of you saw the thumbnail, will be about livestock and wildlife. Okay. Does everybody know the meaning of livestock? What that means in English? It's a good word to know, and it's going to be one of the linking topics of the next class. Livestock. Livestock. It's one word. Again, remember, those words that kind of roll together end up being single words. So here we've got livestock. Romelia says it's animals on a farm. Yeah. Now, Romelia, for instance, keep in mind that like a dog or a cat, we would not consider livestock. Yeah, Ugulhan, it's correct. So it's domestic animals. Now, interestingly, a dog or a cat would be a domestic animal. They're domesticated. So it's a domestic animal, meaning lives with humans together. Livestock also have the sad, unfortunate reality of generally being used for food. Okay, so livestock are domestic animals that are nurtured or that are kept for the purpose of food, whether it's chicken for eggs, or cows for milk, or pigs for pork. Those would be considered livestock. Goat, Ugulhan, would be livestock. And kind of the opposite of that is what we would call wildlife. So these are animals that have not been domesticated. These are animals that live in the wild. Okay. What is that called, everybody, when we make an animal friendly for humans? So sometimes, for the circus, they'll do this for tigers or elephants. So when the animal becomes kind of gentle with humans make it gentle or make it less wild. Yeah, that's right, Single and Savvy. They're tamed. So livestock are tamed animals. tamed animals or tame animals. Okay, and the opposite of tame is simple here, untamed. Okay, so these are untamed animals. Okay, and Romelia, when they're yes, bred to live with us, that's when they're domesticated. So, it's a verb too, so it's animal taming. All right, so that's going to be the topic of part 3, and part 3 will follow this class with a short break in between. Let's take a look at this speaking part 2 cue card. Make sure, everybody, that you repeat, copy what I say, copy how I say it. So you're in your IELTS exam, you're getting to the end of part 1, you're getting probably a couple questions that are a little bit more complicated, maybe using present perfect or conditional. And then the examiner says that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Is that clear? And then you say, yes, it is. Then they'll say, talk about an interesting animal that you have seen. Okay? All right. Now, your very, very first step is to just carefully read the questions. It's often a good idea to read this topic sentence twice, just so you're super duper clear on what you need to say. So talk about an interesting animal that you have seen. You should say what it is and what it looks like. When did you see it? Where was it? What made this animal so interesting? Okay, so then you need to quickly figure out in step 2, what is this category? Okay, so the IELTS cue card generally will be focusing on a person, a place, an object, an idea, or an event. So it's going to be either a person, place, object, idea, or an event. So in this case, the animal, what is it? Is it a person? Is it a place? Is it an object? Is it an idea? Or is it an event? It's kind of a tricky one. What is it? Okay. Anna says it's an object. Fuang says it's an object. Those poor animals, everybody. All right. Well, if you're curious where you can learn more about that, in your IELTS course, in your My Student account, once you've joined the premium course, you can go to the full course, go to the speaking section, and then in the speaking section, I think it's lesson B, if I'm not mistaken, you get into speaking strategies. And here you have, for instance, some notes on what you need to say if you're talking about a place. So if you're talking about a place, you're going to describe its location, the appearance, the history, the function of the place. And an animal, is that a place? Well, not really, but if you look at the questions, so for some of these cue cards, everybody, make sure that you really pay attention to the questions. They're not just a guide, they are a guide, okay? So, where was it? That's going to be a place, right? Okay, so where was the animal? You have to talk a little bit about the place, obviously. Okay. Now, don't go too far. Don't talk 2 minutes about the location. So I was at the San Diego Zoo. It's one of the largest zoos in the entire world. Sure, but you're not talking about the zoo. You're talking about the animals. So make sure you stay on topic. But here, clearly, you do have to include some information about the place. So there is a bit about the place there. Okay. Now, here's a question for some of you. So a lot of you are writing object. Why do you think an animal is an object? Give me the answer for that. I'm curious. So why do you think you'd be talking about an object here? Again, I highly recommend, going and signing up for that premium course. There's a lot there for you. So here's describing an object. Okay. Object, you have to talk about the appearance of the object, the history, meaning its origin. Was it a present? Was it bought, built, found? What is the application of this object? So its use, utility, how do you use it? Is it for school, for work, convenience? Okay. So that's talking about an object. And I'm not sure, I'm not sure if I would classify an animal as an object. Describing an event. Let's see what that is. So describing an event, you've got location of the event, the people that were there. Do you think that here you need to talk about the event? I think so. Look at this question. When did you see it? So when did you see it is kind of like an event here, right? So I visited the San Diego Zoo 5 years ago with my family for summer vacation. So it seems like there's a little bit of an event going on here as well. Okay. Fuang, very good. I like your emoji. Fuang's like, is it a person? Remember that one listening exam in our course materials where 2 professors are talking about zoos, and one of the professors says animals are persons. They're living creatures, right? They're persons. Okay, so what is it and what it looks like? Sure, it's the appearance. Now, when you're talking about the animal is so interesting, okay, then what should you include? And this is a good point here. Okay, this will help you figure it out. This one's a little bit trickier, right? Because it's easy to make that assumption that the animal's an object, but I don't think that's the best description here. So this last question, upcoming IELTS candidates, really pay attention to this. Okay, so important tip coming up here. Big tip. Okay, it is very important that you pay attention to the last question on the cue card and answer it in detail. You should take at least 30 seconds to 1 minute answering the last question. Okay? So you must answer that last question. And here, when we're talking about, Florence says, I think animals have to be a person. Yeah, so Anna says, well, maybe we're talking about how the animal is curious. Okay. So Ariadna says, we have to talk about their behavior. Okay. Their character. Okay. So if I say to you that the lion was aggressive, it roared for 5 minutes without stop. Okay. Okay. So it was roaring loudly for 5 minutes without stopping. It was going, rawr. All the lions in the world are laughing at me right now. Like, okay, baby cub. Roar. That's not a roar, my friend. But you get it. Okay, so if we say the lion was very aggressive, it was roaring loudly for 5 minutes without stopping. Then you suddenly realize that indeed you are talking about a person. Okay? Why? Because when we discuss a person, then you talk about its characteristics backed up by actions, right? And that's exactly what animals are. They're persons. They have characteristics that they back up with action, just like any old human. We're also animals. We tend to forget that sometimes. And then we have some pretty good reminders of certain behaviors that we're definitely of the animal kingdom. All right. So here it's a bit of a combination. Okay. So that's why it's a little bit tricky. But of course, animals are persons much more than an object. They have an appearance, of course, like an object, and some of them serve a function for humans, like horses. We ride them, right? And they might be used for farming or carrying cargo in some places. But more or less, they're humans, right? So that's what you're dealing with here. Is you're describing a person. You're talking about what this animal looks like, you're talking about the animal's personality, and you're talking about the animal's actions. Everybody with me on that? Ugulhan says, I love horses. I love horses too, Ugulhan. So does everybody say, yeah, I think you're right. Animals are persons. Best way to think about them. Yeah. And within person, appearance is included. So person, the appearance is included. Okay. Fuang says, yes, I'm on the ball. All right. Okay, so before you get going, okay, before you just start speaking, please, students, don't start saying template sentences like, I have seen a lot of interesting animals. I have seen a lot of interesting animals. But the animal I would like to talk about today, this is bad. Okay, it's a template. IELTS examiners don't like it. It's boring, it wastes time. It's just simple memorization. All right. If you say to me, if I'm your examiner and you say, I have seen a lot of interesting animals, in my head, I will immediately respond by thinking, I'm sure you have. Most of us have. I just want to hear about one. Okay. So, yes, the examiner will be like, another template. Exactly. So I have seen a lot of interesting animals. Well, that's good. That's good. A lot of people have. I want to know about one of them. Talk about one. If we had a conversation, I would stop you and say, well, that's great. Just talk about one, please. Okay. So that's the face. All right. Now, one important point, though, is that you see I have seen is good here because it's present perfect. And in the cue card, always really pay attention to the grammar. Okay, here the question is, talk about an interesting animal that you have seen. You have seen is present perfect. Okay, so an important tip here is identify the grammar focus of the question. Here it's present perfect. In this case, you have seen. Why are they using present perfect in this question? Why don't they just simply say, talk about an interesting animal you saw? So what's the difference? So what's the difference between an interesting animal you have seen versus an interesting animal you saw? Stan, very good. Thumbs up, Stan. Stan says, it's your experience. Yeah. This one, present perfect, emphasizes experience. So it emphasizes experience. It tells the listener that it was impactful. I have seen this animal. You achieved it. This is an experience. It's still with you. Okay? It emphasizes that experience. Exactly. Right? So make sure that you use that in your response. Now, in the third step, everybody, okay, step number 3. This is a very, very important step, everyone. In step 3, think about 2 to 3 ideas. So think of at least 2 or 3 possible answers. Okay? You have to. So think about at least 2 to 3 possible answers. Pick the best one. So think about one that is easy to talk about. Okay. Make sure you can talk about the animal. Think about one that's got a lot of content. So you've got a lot of knowledge, ideas about it. Okay. And it should be somewhat original. Okay. So hopefully not everybody's talking about it. So maybe, you know, if you chose tiger, maybe a lot of people are choosing tiger. So maybe choose a different animal, right? I don't know. I'm just giving you an example. Maybe not a lot of people are talking about tigers, right? So what are some interesting animals that you have seen? I've seen a few interesting animals for sure. So for me, the ones that come to mind are an alligator. The alligator I saw in Florida in the Everglades. Okay. Another interesting animal that I've seen is the sloth in Costa Rica. And for sure, another interesting animal that I just recently saw with my 2 daughters on a coastal expedition was the orca. And that is very close to my home here in Canada. I saw the orca here on Vancouver Island. Okay. So I have seen at least 3 animals that I think are quite interesting. Okay. Single and Savvy says a Bengal cat. Yeah, Neil says, can I talk about a dog? Absolutely. There are some really interesting dogs, and some dogs, even if it's like a common house dog, might have some very interesting characteristics. They might be exceptionally smart, for instance, or exceptionally compassionate. So it's not just the appearance of an animal that can make it interesting. It's also the behaviors of the animal. And yes, a dog, a horse, a cat could be a very interesting animal. If you had a family pet that had some very unique behaviors and made it very interesting for you, could be a good choice. Okay, it doesn't have to be a rare species of animal. I was hoping somebody would recognize that. Deborah, a dove could be a good choice if you've had some unique experience. Exactly. So the animal does not have to be some unique species that is rare. It can be a specific animal that you have had an interesting experience with, right? Like a cat or a dog. For sure. The examiner does not judge. It's not the examiner's job or place to judge. Well, cat's not that interesting. There are a lot of cats, everywhere. They're not going to do that, okay? No, don't talk about a cat. No, we've got a lot of those. No cats or dogs, okay? A hamster, yeah, maybe a hamster. Fish, well, not so much. We've got fish. So no, they're not. No, all right? What's important is that you emphasize in your response that it's interesting, that the animal is interesting, okay? So this is the key word here. And you have to make sure that you emphasize that key word. Okay, I am going to give you an example of talking about an orca. Okay, so step number 4, in step 4, you decide what you talk about. And in this case, I thought I could talk about the alligator, that's great, sloth, but really what I'm most familiar with is the orca, okay? And I can talk lots about it. I've learned lots about it. It's an animal that lives in my part of the world, not too far from my hometown. Obviously, it's an oceanic animal, so, but I've had experiences with it on multiple occasions, so I can talk about it relatively easily. It's a fairly unique animal, and I think I can give a lot of information about it, describing it. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, I'm going to take some useful notes. Now, step 4, take some useful notes. Okay. All right. So in my useful notes, what I want to do is I want to have order. Okay? Don't just do random notes, everybody. Not just random notes, okay? But organized. Okay, so in these notes, right, one way to do the notes is let the cue card questions guide you. Now, that's what they're there for, right? So question 1 on the cue card is what it is and what it looks like. Okay, so an orca, now I wouldn't write down orca, is also known as what, everybody? What is one of the common names for orcas around the world? What do we call them, everyone? I'm teaching you English and vocabulary at the same time. Ariadna says Free Willy. Well, good news, Ariadna. These orcas were in the wild. They were not in captivity. Okay, so we don't need to free them. They were free. They were free already. It's not a white whale. It's called a killer whale. Okay, so the orca is a killer whale. Is it a whale? Is an orca a whale? No. So what I would have in my notes for the first question, so this would be like question 1, is it's a killer whale, but it's actually a dolphin. It's the largest of the dolphin family. Okay, it's actually a dolphin. Now, I'm combining these questions on the cue card with the concept of talking about a person as well. And when I talk about a person, I talk about its appearance. Okay, so what it looks like. All right. Now, what does a killer whale look like? Okay. Let me see if I can. There you go. A little bit of help for everybody. That is what the killer whale looks like, if you're wondering. So describe it. Use your English. Okay. How can you describe the appearance of this killer whale? Okay. So View Hyung says black and white. Yes. Okay. So that's some simple explanation. So the appearance. I wouldn't write down black and white because I'm pretty sure I'm going to remember that. Ugulhan says it's large with a long tail. What is this called? Anybody? That's a very typical characteristic of the killer whale. And when you're thinking about large, it doesn't have a beak, Deborah. This is not considered a beak. It is a mouth. Okay. CKL says it seems cute, but it's not. They're pretty cute. They're pretty cute. It's a fin. And what kind of a fin is it? What's the biological word for the back? So this fin is called a, if it's on the back, it's called a, it's a good word to know. It's another way to say back. It's called a dorsal fin. Okay, so in your notes, everybody, you want to write down notes that can help you to give details and get you those higher band scores. I don't write down black and white because that's so obvious, and it's so obvious that I'm going to say that, that instead of writing down black and white, it's I'm going to write down dorsal fin. I don't want to forget talking about the dorsal fin. Now, one interesting part of the killer whale is a lot of people think that this is the eye. That's not the eye. That's just a large white spot that looks like a cute eye. But the eye is actually much smaller. It's here. It's like a little dot. It's right in front of that big white spot. It's right there. Okay, so that eye is not actually that big white spot. Okay. Now, that dorsal fin is one of its characteristics. The white spot is a characteristic. It's actually got tiny eyes. Well, they're not that tiny, Fuang, but tiny compared to its size. Okay, now a lot of you are saying big, but in the IELTS, again, it's important to remember numbers and think about nature shows. In a nature show, the narrator wouldn't just say, killer whales are huge. They would say something like, killer whales are the largest in the dolphin family, weighing up to 8 tons. And 8 meters in length. Or 6 meters in length. I don't know. 7 meters in length. Doesn't have to be accurate data. I think they're about 7-8 meters in length. But they're big. No, maybe not that. They're like 6 meters. 6 meters. Okay? 6-7 meters. They're big animals. They're big animals. All right. Okay. Ugulhan, 8 tons. 1 ton is 1,000 kilograms. Okay. So they are large animals. So that's the appearance, right? Now, one last interesting piece of vocabulary here. So killer whales, like other dolphins, have this interesting shape that's like this, which allows them to kind of swim very quickly through the water. How do you describe that shape? So for those of you who are into video games, especially car racing, you might be familiar with this term. Okay. It's streamlined. Streamlined. Okay. Streamline. Not conical. Streamline. Okay. It's got a streamlined shape that allows it to move quickly through the water. That's right, Ariadna. Very nice, Ariadna. Good for you. That's some advanced vocabulary. It's got a streamlined shape. Now, one last one. Let's do one last one here. It's got a little hole. You can't see it in the picture, but it's got a little hole right here. And every 10 minutes or so, the killer whale will come up for a breath of air. It breathes air from the surface, right? It is a mammal. Okay, it's extremely smart. Okay. It spits water out of its lungs when it comes up. Yeah, that's right, V. Very good. V says it's called a blowhole. I should have had my Orca mug with me today. I actually have an Orca mug upstairs. But yeah, that's called a blowhole. So lots of interesting descriptions. Yeah. They breathe through the hole. That's where they breathe. Okay. It's not a black hole, Robert. Black holes are in space, and they're very interesting phenomena in the galaxy. It's called a blowhole. That's right, Kevin. Blowhole. Is that one word, Kevin? Really? Could be. Yeah, very good, Kevin. Yeah, one word. Blowhole. All right. So now I've got this killer whale, and I've got the appearance. And remember, I'm also using the card to guide me. So when did you see it? I'm going to keep that really, really simple. The question number 3, I believe that was in the cue card, or 2. Okay. It was so start of April, spring break. Okay. And then where did I see it? Question 3, location. Coast of Vancouver Island. Strait of Georgia. Or sorry, I should say Strait of Juan de Fuca. Okay. I can talk more about that now. And then, of course, because animals are people or persons, as we just said, for this last question, and this is the focus question, okay? Often the last question in the cue card is the focus question. So, let me see if I can... I wish they had like an orange. This is more of a red. Yeah, let's go with the burgundy. So this is your focus question. The what made this animal so interesting. So this is where you talk about personality characteristics backed up by actions, okay? So what do you think makes a killer whale interesting? Okay, so question number 4, the focus question. Okay, this is where you want to spend 30 seconds to 1 minute in your answer. Okay. No, it doesn't kill human beings. It actually likes human beings, unless you try to injure it. But orcas and humans get along quite well. Okay, just like other dolphin species. So why do they get along really well? So why do you think an orca does not want to kill a human? It's not like a shark. It doesn't like killing humans. So why? It's a pack hunter. It's very intelligent. Yes. So how can we show its intelligence? They have complex hunting strategies to gather and eat fish. They play with their food. They pass it around like a ball. They have complex language. Now, of course, in the actual notes, all I would be writing down are the words hunting strategies, okay, play with food, complex language, okay, okay, what else? What else is interesting about them? Yeah, they'll toss their food out of water even. They jump out of water. They jump and play. Absolutely. Okay. They're curious. They will actually go and check on humans. So they will go to your boat and look at you. And they will check up on you. People from all over the world come to where I live to see these amazing animals. There's also something else that's interesting about them. If some of you live in South Africa, you will know this. They had a lot of news about this recently. They are the alpha predators in the ocean. They even eat white sharks. They will hunt and kill great white sharks. Okay, so they're alpha predators of the ocean. They are the apex predator in the sea. All right, and one other one that I know, and if you don't know these facts about an animal, that's fine. But another one is they're matriarchal. Anybody knows what that means, matriarchal? What does that mean, matriarchal? What does the word matriarchal mean? Anybody? Matriarch or matriarchal? That's right, Evangia. They are ruled by females. They basically have a queen. So a female leads the group. So every group, they're called pods of orcas. So every pod of orcas has basically a female that leads the group. She is usually the largest as well. And how long can she live? How long do you think the matriarch lives in a group of orcas? What do you think? Kevin, it's female. The opposite, well, I'll ask you, what is the study stuff goes, says 30 years, 20 years, Dimitri. Matriarch lives up to 100 years of age. Okay. So they live up to 100 years, a century, not some decades. Okay. They're smart. They're intelligent. We need to take care of them. There are sisters and brothers in the ocean. Okay. All right. They're healthy. They move. They eat fish. They breathe fresh air. The males live maximum 70 years. So males don't live as long. But the matriarchs live up to 100 years. 10 decades, indeed. Okay, just for fun, the opposite societies that are male dominant. So male dominant societies are called patriarchal. Okay, patriarchal. All right. Okay, everybody. So that's, again, you only have a minute. Obviously, you don't have time for every single note, and you don't have, suddenly you realize, hey, I know a lot about this animal. I don't know if 2 minutes is enough, but you do your best and you stick to the main points, right? So in step number 5, you get your first sentence ready. Just before your preparation time is up. Okay. So this is what I would say. One of the most interesting animals I have ever had the fortune of seeing is an orca. Notice this interesting sentence here. So one of the most interesting animals I have ever had the fortune of seeing is an orca. And then right away, I get into a little bit of what this animal is. The orca is often referred to as a killer whale because it not only hunts its food, but often likes to play with it before eating it. It will capture seal and use it like a ball, passing it among its family members in its group, also known as a pod. I had the fortune of seeing a pod of killer whales with my 2 daughters at the start of April on a marine expedition with a boat, or on a boat tour off the coast of Vancouver Island. Okay, now students, do your best to copy what I say and copy how I say it. So again, I'm thinking about structure, I'm telling a story, I'm moving through the questions, and I'm keeping in mind that the most important question here is interesting animal that I have seen. So I'm focusing on that aspect. Okay, while I'm doing this, everybody, also start thinking about the animal that you have seen and what you want to say about it. Deborah says doves, a dove. So what dove is it, Deborah? Dove is an interesting bird I have had an interaction with about a decade ago. I would say it like this, Deborah: a unique dove I had an interesting interaction with about a decade ago is a memorable animal for me. Okay, when I visited my childhood friend in the northern part of Ghana. Valia, it's great to see you in class. Okay. Oh, nice. You got a 7.5. That's fantastic. And Valia, did you do this for part 2? Did you pay attention to the cue card? Did you really do your best to answer the cue card specifically and go through these steps? I hope so. It sounds like you did because you got a great score. It's fantastic. Okay, students, let's take a look at what we have so far. Just repeat after me. One of the most interesting animals I have ever had the fortune of seeing is an orca. The orca is often referred to as a killer whale because it not only hunts its food, but often likes to play with it before eating it. It will capture a seal and use it like a ball, passing it among its family members in its group, also known as a pod. I had the fortune of seeing a pod of killer whales with my 2 daughters at the start of April on a marine expedition on a boat tour off the coast of Vancouver Island during spring break. The orca is actually a type of dolphin. It is the largest in this family, weighing up to 8 tons and 7 meters long. Most notable is the coloration of black and white with a large 2-meter dorsal fin. Like other dolphins, it has a streamlined body and a blowhole where it spits water and breathes air. Okay, so again, remember, the focus is the interesting animal. Okay, the interesting animal here. So we want to focus on the fact that it's an interesting animal. Killer whales are extremely interesting for a multitude of reasons. Okay, so here is where you really show the examiner that you're paying attention to the cue card and what the cue card is asking you. Interesting animal you have seen. Okay, so now we get into all of the personality backed up by actions. Okay, although notice the complex grammar here. Although many people falsely think that orcas are dangerous for humans, in fact, this is not the case. As with other dolphins, they are smart and respect human intelligence. Orcas can be trained to perform many behaviors, including simple sentence communication with their trainers, like please give food. Or I want to play. Therefore, killer whales are also kept in captivity for human amusement. When I saw these whales a few weeks ago, they were traveling in a group of about 8, led by a matriarch. And she is estimated to be an amazing 75 years old. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm focusing on the facts, the behaviors, the characteristics that make the orca an interesting animal. All right. Single and Savvy says, during my first date with my boyfriend, I met his pet cat. It was a special breed of cat called a Bengal cat. It had beautiful fur with spots like a wild leopard. That's where it gets its name from. In fact, Single and Savvy, I think it's like the Bengal tiger, right? The Bengal tiger kind of sometimes has that spotted look to it, maybe. Yeah. Very interesting. I've seen those Bengal cats. They look cool. Okay. Anna says, one of the most interesting animals. It's always one of many, Anna. So one of the most interesting animals that I saw in a local zoo is an ostrich. Even who I saw... Yeah, you know, with animals, it's kind of interesting. Humans, we don't really, in English, know what to do sometimes. So are they people? Do we say who, or do we say that or it? It's tricky. Some people get really personal about this and say, hey, animals are persons. Don't call them it. It's a he and a she and a they and a who, right? So all is okay. All is okay. All right? Okay. So, for me, the most incredible experience was watching the killer whales surface and even jump out of the water, making an incredible splash. Without a doubt, these apex predators of the ocean are one of the most unique and fascinating creatures I have ever seen. This is my closing sentence here, everybody. And this lets the examiner know that I'm kind of done with what I'm saying. Okay? So again, in my mind, especially in the last 30 seconds to 1 minute of this speaking interview, or of this cue card, I should say, I have this concept of interesting animal I have seen floating around in my head. Okay? Everybody with me here? So let's take a look at the cue card again. I'm going to show you this response, and then we'll use Zoom to chat and interact. Okay? On the website, by the way, everybody, you can interact with each other using the student partner speaking right there. it's a little bit tricky to use in these YouTube live classes, but I highly recommend using it on the website regularly. Okay, we're implementing a new system for you there shortly as well. Okay, all right. So here's the cue card again. Talk about an interesting animal that you have seen. You should say what it is and what it looks like. When did you see it? Where was it? What made this animal so interesting? Okay, so here's my answer. One of the most interesting animals I have ever had the fortune of seeing is an orca. The orca is often referred to as a killer whale because it not only hunts its food, but often likes to play with it before eating it. It will capture a seal and use it like a ball, passing it among its family members in its group, also known as a pod. I had the fortune of seeing a pod of killer whales with my 2 daughters at the start of April on a marine expedition on a boat off the coast of Vancouver Island during spring break. The orca is actually a type of dolphin. It is the largest in this family, weighing up to 8 tons and 7 meters long. Most notable is the coloration of black and white with a large 2-meter dorsal fin. Like other dolphins, it has a streamlined body and a blowhole where it spits water and breathes air. Killer whales are extremely interesting for a multitude of reasons. Although many people falsely think that orcas are dangerous for humans, in fact, this is not the case. As with other dolphins, they are smart and respect human intelligence. Orcas can be trained to perform many behaviors, including simple sentence communication, like "please give food" or "I want to play." Therefore, killer whales are also kept in captivity for human amusement. When I saw these whales a few weeks ago, they were traveling in a group of about 8 led by a matriarch. And she is estimated to be an amazing 75 years old. For me, the most incredible experience was watching the killer whales surface and even jump out of the water, making a huge splash. Without a doubt, these apex predators of the ocean are one of the most unique and fascinating creatures I have ever seen. All right, so that would be like a band 9 level response, obviously, for the vocabulary, but also for grammar and the connections. Now, I would like you to try this cue card, and we're going to use Zoom, everybody. Here's the Zoom link. Now, every week, we have 2 Zoom classes for premium students. So if you have joined the premium version by clicking the big red button on the website, you should have received a Zoom links in the last day or 2 from me for your upcoming Zoom classes on Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, same with general IELTS students. Those of you who have joined the premium version of the course by clicking that big red button, that's also included with your practice exams and much more. And again, it's just a one-time payment, so you get lots and lots of help for very little money. Students, the Zoom link is there in the chat. I'm just going to open it up and let you all in. Here we go. Now, you're welcome to use your camera in Zoom. Just make sure you are aware and you're responsible if you use your camera. I can't use my camera because I'm using it, of course, for YouTube. Okay, so I'll just wait a couple of seconds while everybody joins in, and then I'll let you all in. And at first I'm going to mute everybody just so we don't have a lot of sound coming in. Okay, Nimit, I see you're joining in as well. There's Clay, Juan. Yes, I saw, Juan, that you just got into the class. That is fine. Okay. All right. And the upcoming class, the speaking part 3 class, so we're going to spend most of the class in the Zoom session, or at least a big part of it. Okay. All right. Now, when you are in the Zoom session here, then you can raise your hand to volunteer for this part 2. Zoom session here. Don't be shy. Volunteer. Build confidence. This is just practice. All right, Fuang, that looks like an interesting animal right there. It's a picture of your cat. Everybody sees Fuang's cat. That's an adorable looking cat. It looks like the cat's in a towel or something. All right. Okay, so students, under more, you have what's called the reactions. In the reactions, you can raise your hand, you can lower your hand, you can give a thumbs up, you can laugh, you can show and express yourself. Okay? All right, let's connect with Fuang. We haven't heard from her in a while. Hi, Fuang. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi, sir.
How are you, Fuang?
I'm doing great today. How about you, sir?
I'm good. Is that your cat in the picture?
Yeah, sir.
That is your cat.
What cute. Yeah.
What an adorable cat. What's her name?
Her name's Milty.
Just cute from start to finish. All right, Fuang. Well, let me start you off on this cue card. Are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
Okay. Here we go. So that is the end of part 1. Let's begin part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to prepare and 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Talk about an interesting animal that you have seen. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
An interesting animal that left a lasting impression on me I have ever seen was an adorable raccoon at the Zoo Cafe, located not too far from Dallas City. 5 years ago, my family had a 1-week holiday in Dallas City, and luckily, I had a chance to see the 2 little mammals that I had just seen throughout the internet. As far as I know, raccoons are about the size of a large cat, up to about 10 kilograms, but they are more related to bear, which mostly belong to North America. They're smart with naughty tricks to steal human food, adaptable with cozy temperatures, even in America or Vietnam climates, especially carrying a famous resembling around the eye like the house wrecker in Japan manga. That make them so funny look. These complicated forest creatures are so curious about everything around them actually. So it's difficult to domesticate them as a house pet. Which call my memory when my father gave them a colorful cotton candies. They received a beating with 2 little paws, and based on their OCD symptoms, they washed this candy into water before eating. So the raccoon so soft when the candy melts in a few seconds.
Okay, your 2 minutes are up. I'm going to stop you there. All right, Fuang, that was really good talking about raccoons. I have to smile, Fuang, because where I live, we have a lot of raccoons, and we have special garbage cans because both the raccoons and the crows where I live are so smart that if you have just a normal garbage can, then in the morning you have to pick up all your garbage because the raccoons will open up the garbage can. They have like little hands, and they use their little hands, and they can open up garbage cans and open up packaging, and they will leave a huge mess during the middle of the night. So we have special garbage cans so that raccoons can't climb into the garbage cans. Amazing. That was really good. That would be very high band. That would be like a band 8 to 9. Depending on your examiner, easily band 8 to 9. I think it's safe to say that that was a band 8.5. You had really good description. When you describe what they look like, remember their key features. So you said that they're about the size of a large cat. Their color is usually this kind of gray white pattern. There's one part of the raccoon, Fuang, that's very characteristic, and I don't think you mentioned it. There is a kind of a special English collocation there. What do you think I'm thinking about? So what part of the raccoon is very, very characteristic? Anybody in the chat want to help? Somebody's got the emojis going on here. They've got a very characteristic face with those black spots around their eyes, but it's not their face that I'm thinking about, Fuang. What other part of the raccoon? This is why people used to like making hats out of them a long time ago. So not the eyes. Think more. There's one part that's kind of like, oh, it's not the raccoon mask. That's also it's not Rocket from the Marvel movie. What is it? Galaxy something of the galaxy. No, it's their tail. They have a big, bushy, ringed tail. Right?
Yeah.
So just repeat after me, Fuang. One very interesting aspect of the raccoon's appearance.
What's interesting aspect of raccoon
appearance is its big, bushy, ringed tail.
It is bushy ringed.
Okay, we're gonna put it all together. Okay, we're gonna put it all together once that person who loves honking their horn goes away. Okay, one very interesting aspect of the raccoon's appearance is its big, bushy, ringed tail with a black and white pattern.
Okay, sir. One very interesting aspect of the raccoon appearance is its first green tail with a black and white pattern.
Okay. Now, the first sentence was quite good. A little bit of even better grammar for that one. Just repeat this sentence after me. And this isn't just for Fuang, everyone. This is for all people, especially those of you going for those high band scores. An interesting animal that has had a lasting impression on me is an adorable raccoon.
An interesting animal that has had a lasting impression on me is an adorable raccoon.
Very nice. Okay, that's that nice, complex, present perfect. Now, one last tip, Fuang, before you go. Okay, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Never, ever try to pet a raccoon. Okay? They look cute, but they are very aggressive. And my kids, I have 2 little kids, right? My older one, when she sees a raccoon, she's like, "Oh, Dad, let's go pet it." I'm like, "No, do not go pet the raccoon because we have to go to the hospital after." So they bite and they claw, and they're very, very aggressive. They have sharp teeth and sharp claws. So they're super cute, but not super friendly. Okay, so never pet the raccoon. All right. Thank you, Fuang, for volunteering.
Thank you, sir, for your helping. Have a nice day, sir.
You too. Bye, Fuang.
Bye-bye, sir.
All right, let's give Fuang a big thumbs up there. That was great. Talking about the raccoon. Yeah, raccoons, contrary to killer whales, are super adorable, just like killer whales, but not super friendly to humans. Okay. All right, let's see who else is with me today. Let's try somebody who we may not have heard from thus far. Was that... let me... Clay, did you want to volunteer?
Okay.
Hi, Clay. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you, sir?
I am doing great. Clay, have you ever spoken to me before?
I have never spoken to you before because I just know you last month.
Okay, great. Well, here you are, and I'm glad that I was able to connect with you. Clay, where are you? What country are you in?
I'm in Vietnam.
Great. What part of Vietnam?
I'm in Hanoi City.
Hanoi. Okay, so not the same as Phuong, because if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken, Phuong's in Ho Chi Minh. All right, Hanoi. Nice. Well, let's jump in. Do you want to try this cue card?
Uh, yes.
Yeah, let's do it. That's how you evolve. Is you gotta do it. Practice, practice. Here we go. Talk
Yes.
about an interesting animal that you have seen. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
If someone asks me about my favorite animal, I will say it's a dog. As everyone knows, dogs are animals that can be considered house pet and are very easy to train so that they obey and later they will be able to distinguish their owners and later they will know how to serve their owner. I used to have a dog named Sam. He was a sled dog that my father brought from Alaska. This dog is easy to distinguish just by looking at their thick white fur. This breed is very easy to train and they are super docile and friendly to human. Um, One thing about this dog is it's a very naughty when they don't have their owner around, and is um, I think it's all about it because my speaking is not quite good like that. Um,
Okay, I'll stop you there,
right.
and we'll go on to part 3. All right, Clay. First tip: never tell the examiner you don't like your speaking. Okay,
No, all right,
even if
all
that's
right.
what you're thinking, don't tell the examiner that. Okay, it's like, oh, really? Why did you just tell me that? Now I have to give you a 5. But no, don't tell them that, Clay. You were doing a fantastic job. Okay, doing a fantastic job. And I
No, all
kind of,
right.
I kind of surprised you. For some reason, I thought you were volunteering, but then I realized I don't. Maybe Clay's not even volunteering. I just kind of appointed you, but that's okay. I think you handled it really, really well. So good job, good for you. Okay. Um,
All
I
right.
actually, I actually think your English is quite good. So I would say that your English is probably like a solid 6.5 at this point. So it's between fluent and good. A couple of important points, everybody. When you're answering the part 2 cue card, Clay, in the first sentence that you tell to the examiner, always use the same topic and controlling idea as the question. Okay.
Right.
So I said, talk about an interesting animal that you have seen. And you said, if someone asks me about my favorite animal, it's not about your favorite animal, it's about an
It's a animal,
interesting animal.
interesting animal that yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as you say favorite animal, the examiner's going, is this a memorized answer? Why is this person talking off topic? Right? So just the best strategy is just use the same word, at least for the first time. You can use other words like favorite, amazing, incredible later on. But for the first sentence, just use the same word. Say interesting animal. So if someone asks me about an interesting animal, I would say that it is a dog, and then be specific. So don't just talk about dogs, right? So talk about your dog. You really had this dog, so you really had a dog named Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about him. I'm sure that you found him very interesting and loved him very much, right? So do you still have him? Is he still alive?
Yes, he is in my he's my in my family for 4 years. Yeah.
Okay, so he's still with you. Okay, that's great. So if someone asked me about an interesting animal, I would say that it is a dog, not just any dog, but my dog Sam.
Yeah.
Is it a husky?
I think so. It's
Okay.
some kind of Samoy or something like that.
Samoy or a husky? Okay, I'll go with husky,
Yeah.
but they're similar. So my husky, Sam. Okay. All right. So that's what you want to start with. That very direct sentence. So you said, okay, just repeat after me, Clay. If someone asked me about an interesting animal, I would say that it is a dog, not just any dog, but my husky, Sam.
If someone asks me about an interesting animal, I would say it's a dog, not just any dog, but my husky, Sam.
Okay, great. Now you've answered the cue card question. Now all the other information is bonus to answering the question clearly. Okay, so make sure that you're on track there. Yes, huskies are sled dogs. Same with the Samoyeds, and they're very powerful, very smart, very loving. What color is the tongue?
Uh, the tongue is I think it's um, pink.
Is pink reddish?
Think
Because some
so.
of them have that interesting, like purple, blue kind of gray tongue. So that's why I was curious. What color are the eyes?
Yeah, it's brown.
Brown. Okay. Yeah, because they have interesting colors for their tongues and eyes. Some of those sled dogs, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, now you said one thing about this dog is that okay. So one thing about this dog is you can call him Sam. So one thing about Sam
Yeah.
is that it's a he or a she.
He.
He. Okay. So he is very naughty when we are not around. Okay. So, yes, I have a little bit of knowledge about this. My best friend had a husky for many years. His name was Nike, and he was very naughty when the owners were not around. He would chew anything he could get his little teeth on. Does your dog do the same? Does it like chewing shoes, slippers?
Yes, he also jump on other people.
There we go. So one thing about Sam is that he is very naughty when we are not around. He loves to chew anything he can get his teeth on.
Yeah.
He has, I'm just making this up, but just for fun, he has eaten 2 pairs of sneakers in the last month. And he likes jumping on people. Okay, so just try one more sentence. Now, the point here, Clay, is that when you're talking about a person, in this case, the animal is a person, especially a dog, very human-like in many ways. When you say a characteristic like Sam is really funny, then you have to say an action. So Sam is really funny. He likes to lick my face when I come home from school. Okay, so can you just repeat that sentence? So Sam is really funny. He likes to jump on me and lick my face when I come home from school.
Sam like to lick my face when I come home from the school.
Okay, so start with the personality. So he is very funny or he is very friendly. And then use the action to back up the characteristics. So Sam is really friendly with me. He jumps on me and licks my face when I come home from school.
Yeah.
Try it.
Uh, he's very funny because when I come home, he always jumping on me and lick my face very hot, and I feel he's giving me some happiness when I come home.
Nice. So see how all now you had so much fluency there because all those thoughts and words are connecting, right? So that's exactly
Yeah.
what want to achieve, okay? So keep practicing, Clay. You're doing a great job. I'm happy you found me in the last month and come back and volunteer again, okay? Be brave, all right?
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and give Sam a big hug for me. I love those dogs. All right, that was That was Clay, everybody. Let's give Clay a thumbs up. I just kind of appointed him there. So I picked him. Nimit's like, yeah, that was fun. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Some people have put their hands up. Some people have put their hands down. Again, everybody, we're using our Zoom chat here. And I think maybe some of you put your hands down because you realize we're out of time. I didn't realize. I was about to keep going. But I have to stop because I have to get ready for our next class. So Nimit, Juan, Oluwayami, Gayatri, don't forget what you want to say for part 2. Maybe practice saying it during the next 30 minutes while we take a break. And then I'm going to come back in 30 minutes and we will talk about domestic animals, livestock, wildlife, and part 3 questions. And I promise that we will spend most of that class interacting with students through Zoom. So a lot of people will have chances to volunteer. Okay? All right. I want to hear about more interesting animals and awesome pets that many of you have. You're very welcome. Students, check out the websites aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gltshelp.com for general IELTS. Again, keep in mind that premium students get Zoom links for 2 classes per week where you have small classes and lots of chances to interact. So we're going to use the same Zoom link for speaking part 3 in the next class, just in case you were wondering. Okay, so you can join back up. So Gayatri, Olawunmi, Nimit, everybody else, hang in there. Okay, Dimitri, I would love to hear from you as well. V, thanks so much, everybody. Back in 30 minutes right here on YouTube with speaking part 3. Ugulhan, I will keep an eye out for you also. Bye for now.